Fuck, I don't know.
I watched a movie last night called The Eyes of Your Mother or something. No, that was all right. That's how, that's it. I can't think any further back now. I also watched a movie called Don't Kill It. That was an amusing movie. Abe, I recommend that for you. I think I actually messaged you after I watched it in Slack.
Did you?
And told you to check it out because it's basically a B-grade parody of the demonic possession horror take that there's just, every fucking horror movie that's coming out at the moment is a, demonic possession, all that stuff. It's like a B-grade parody of it, and it's fucking brilliant. They went all practical effects until the final shot, so it's good with practical effects. And then with the final shot, they didn't have a budget, but they decided to VFX it anyway. Brilliant. Yeah. Just incredible. You can tell it's like stock lightning and stock fire effects going simultaneously. It's so good.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Overcast Gamers Show, Overcast Gamers New Zealand podcast. My name is Abe Foster, and as per usual, I am joined by
Regan Harper,
Balthazar Valentine,
and very special guest again this time. We haven't had him for a while, but Mike is back.
Yeah, I'm not singing my name though.
Sing it. I only sang it because I thought we were going to get a quartet thing going on.
Oh yeah, 3-part harmonies would have been great. But
Balthazar, Mike.
Yeah, we've got Mike, the man whose most recent platinum was a Platinum Games game platinum. He's
that's not my most recent platinum.
He's done more since then.
He's a machine. He's an absolute machine. How you guys going? How's your fortnight been?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah?
I've had a pretty normal kind of fortnight, I suppose. I would say nothing major's gone on. Certainly haven't platinumed any games personally.
No.
But then I've never platinumed a game before.
I'm the same.
Yeah. I actually, Mike, I would love to know how you do that, man. Like how, because this came up on the stream the other day, but it was kind of like, I play through a game and I finish the main story and then I'm like, okay, cool, time to tick off all the other bits and pieces. And fuck, I can just never do it. Like I'll do 3 or 4 of the trophies and then be like, nah, moving on to the next thing. Like, is there a secret?
I don't know. I think I mentioned it. I just like getting all the collectibles. I sort of like taking my time with games. Sometimes, not all the time. And like for me, like if I'm really enjoying a game, then I want to get the most out of it. So having that trophy there is just like another carrot on a stick.
Tick off.
Another thing for me to chase after.
I find a lot to admire in that, Mike, because I want to be like that. But once I'm, say, with Horizon Zero Dawn, the most recent big game that I finished it, did all the towers, did all the bandit camps, then I was like, nah, I'm done with this, and then just moved on.
Yeah.
Do you use roadmaps to kind of make it simpler to combine ones that go together, or do you just work it out?
I'll probably play through the main story, finish the game or whatever. Then I'll have a look at what trophies are left to get. If there are some where it's just like find, like Horizon Zero Dawn had one of these where it's just like there are 23 training dummies around the map somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I'm never gonna find them all if I
unless you do like a fucking grid search.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, so I was just like, I'll look up a guide for that one.
Yeah.
Or if there's something a bit more complicated, or a bit more vague, then I'll look at what exactly do I need to do and go off and do that. So yeah.
Did you get all the mugs, all the antique mugs that the guy wants?
Yeah, that was easy. You buy maps for those. So
yeah. And they just
a
point you
weird
straight
quiz.
to it. Eh?
Yeah.
It is weird, and there's I kind of dug that one though, because there's the there's the Easter egg in there for Killzone.
Oh, it's the Killzone mug. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I didn't actually see that, but
didn't notice it.
Yeah, I didn't notice it.
Too engrossed in just ticking them off. Yeah,
pretty much. Hey, yeah. I mean, I'm big on exploration as well in the game, so I was just like, oh, what's over here? What's over here? Like, unlock all the parts of the map. So.
Yeah.
Did you guys know there's Death Stranding Easter eggs in that game?
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, you find a baby with sort of one eye knocked out, and it says something about, this baby looks like it was stranded. Like the strand is capitalized.
Oh, man.
Because obviously Kojima using the Decima engine and everything like that, they're buddy with Guerrilla.
Right. Interesting.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, sorry to segue like that, but no, my week's been kind of pretty normal. What about you guys?
Yeah, pretty normal. Work's busy. Games busy. Yeah.
Games to play.
The games haven't stopped flowing yet. They're still going. It's pretty intense. I just wanted to do a quick correction. Last episode we were talking about Donkey Kong, or I was talking about Donkey Kong, and made quite a few faux pas there. Now I haven't played the old school Donkey Kongs for quite a while. Mucked up some of the names. I want to correct that right now. So I mentioned Trixie Kong doesn't exist. There's no such thing. There's Dixie Kong and there's Diddy Kong, who are girlfriend and boyfriend. There's Donkey Kong, of course. There's Kiddy Kong, Cranky Kong, Wrinkly Kong, Funky Kong, and Swanky Kong. Those are all the Kongs that should be legit now.
Kong. Wow.
Swanky's got to be new, right? He can't be OG.
Swanky's OG from Donkey Kong Country 2. He's the game show host. I don't know if you guys have ever played DK2, but it's he sort of questions you about. They go, it's rare, so they go all meta, and they're like, what was the name of this level? And you're like, Crocodile Cauldron or whatever, and then you get some banana coins and so forth. I do know stuff about Donkey Kong, but it's been a while. And I've also received my Diddy Kong amiibo, so he's also sitting beside Donkey Kong, so I'm very,
nice.
very happy.
Because you copped a little bit of heat for that, didn't you, Abe?
A little bit, yeah. I claimed to be Donkey Kong OG, and then just pretty much shot myself in the foot immediately.
Yeah, so, by making up the name of a
by making up the name. I got Trixie from Sam and Max, the old sort of point and click LucasArts adventure. There's a character called Trixie in that, and I've been thinking about Thimbleweed Park, which is point and click, so I had point and clicks on the brain. So apologise, everyone. We should be all good to move on from there. I also on the Nintendo front just wanted to talk about how bloody hard it is to find a Wii U nowadays. Why? I kind of know why it's so difficult, is they stopped manufacturing them. But man, these things have become rare fast.
Yeah, I can find them easy when I want to look. I just look under my TV. Every time. There it is.
You smart ass.
There you go, Abe.
I'll just come to Balthazar's house and flog his one. But yeah, I've been looking on all the retail sites, the brick and mortars, obviously the retail auction sites and things. If people are selling them, they want extraordinary prices for them, and I'm not willing to pay that much. But I really want a Wii U because I really want to play Tropical Freeze because I've been listening to the soundtrack. Finally caved and listened to the soundtrack without playing the game, and I've fallen madly in love with it. So
you know what you need to do, Abe, is you need to start going out to like the all those markets that they have around Auckland on the weekends.
Oh yeah,
and things.
man!
You need to go start hitting those bad boys up.
I'd love to do that. I love me a good car boot sale, eh?
I reckon if you looked hard enough, you'd find one. You get it for fucking cheap.
Yeah, I think so too. And there'll be some hidden gems in there. It's like that feeling when you walk into a cash converters and the world is your oyster kind of thing. You're like, oh, there could be anything from the PS1 era in here. There could be SNES games. There could be NES games. You never know.
There could be like an original pre-platinum Metal Gear Solid or something like that.
Yeah. For like $6 or something.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of secondhand shops around Auckland. I really do need to take advantage of that. The next thing I wanted to do is just, as has become habit in the last few podcasts, is shout out a gaming related piece of media that's not actually a game. And this time it's a YouTuber who discovered recently. The YouTuber is called Writing on Games. His name is Hamish Black, and he does sort of analytical essays on aspects of video games and video game design. Awesome work. His most recent one he did was NieR Automata. I haven't watched that one because it's apparently quite spoilery. I did watch the Zelda one, which isn't really spoilery, and it pretty much just encapsulated what Balthazar's review said. And I thought
Hamish the smart guy.
Yeah. He's Balthazar's Scottish counterpart. So, highly recommend to go check him out. I found out about him. Loved his work, watched about 2 hours of it in a row, and then ended up becoming a patron. So really, really dig him. Last week we talked about Mass Effect Andromeda. Obviously,
yes, this is the part that I'm excited about.
The hot button, yeah.
Get into it.
We put forth some review score guesses. Myself, Balthazar, and Regan. Now I'll read them out. What we had last time. So I guessed 85. Regan lowballed it with 76, and Balthazar went 82. Regan took it out. It was 75 in the end.
This is the Metacritic score, is it?
Open critic
Yeah.
in the end. Yeah, hang on. I'll have a look now and see if it's changed. But last time I looked, it was definitely that. So Regan pretty much smashed it.
Yeah, thanks. It's, I don't know. And now playing it, like it fits. Like in terms of, I'll talk about it in a little more detail later on. But in terms of everything that I've experienced with that game, I think 75 is about where it should be.
Yeah, just an update on that. It's gone down to 74. Regan, you still win, but not looking good for Mass Effect.
I really brought that home with the low ball score, actually. I'm happy with that.
Well, we'll move on to what we've been playing because, Regan, you've still been playing Mass Effect, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I kind of went out and bought this game because I wanted it. Like everyone wanted it to be good, and I think Balthazar, at one stage, this was like your most anticipated game of the year.
It was, yeah. It's definitely probably hitting me the hardest that it's such a pile of flaming garbage. Garbage.
Yeah, so I really wanted it to be good, and there was a little bit of a gap in terms of like my schedule as far as games were coming out. I thought, fuck it, why not? Let's go out and pick up this game. And I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail on it because there's so much out there already, and it's kind of, I mean, it's been pretty controversial. But I just want to make a few points kind of around, I guess, what might actually sort of balance out kind of the negative side of things, and also just kind of, I guess, draw some comparisons and point to some of the good stuff. So let's tick off the negatives first, because there's quite a few of them. So the first one is technical issues. So, we're talking animations here. Everyone's seen them. The facial animations are terrible, which I don't quite get because it's on the Frostbite engine, which is really fucking capable. We've all seen the janky facial animations. There's been talk of a few broken quests. I haven't come across any, but that's pretty unforgivable, I think, in a game.
So that would be game breaking?
I would imagine so, yeah. As I say, I've just heard it mentioned in a few forums and things like that. I haven't seen any examples myself, but in a game like this, there should be no broken quests.
They're no stranger to it, though, BioWare. There was actually a quest in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 that was broken, and that game, it didn't get patches or updates on console. Because the console, the error when it came out wasn't kind of an internet-capable console error. So that quest was just broken on the disc, and if you ever picked up that quest, you would never empty your quest log because you couldn't finish it. That bugged me so much. Yeah, I did it. I went nuts as well. I was like, no, I tried so hard for 100% completion playthrough, and I'm at like 98%, and I can't do it.
Oh, man.
KOTOR 2, was that PlayStation 2?
It was that era. It was on, the thing is, it was on classic Xbox and PC, both of which were internet capable, but the fact that you couldn't rely on people having Xbox Live on Xbox meant that the console version just didn't receive updates, only the PC version did. So I'm sure the quest was fixed on PC, and if you played it there, you could probably finish it, but yeah, I had it on classic Xbox, and it was never patched.
Man, that's a real bummer.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
Mass Effect deserves that 74 you reckon there, Regan. Sort of pretty middle of the road, maybe a little bit less than middle of the road.
Yeah, pretty much, man. There's a few other things in terms of like the technical issues, and one is, well, the big one for me is not necessarily the facial animations, but the jankiness of a lot of just the movement animations. Even your vehicle that you use to get around planets, that thing is buggy as fuck.
I saw one video.
I don't know how that can be more buggy than the original Mako.
Because that thing wasn't buggy, it just didn't have physics applied to it at any point.
It's around like a bloody marble, eh?
I saw one video of the buggy in Andromeda where like it was on like an ice lake and just like spinning around in circles. And it just like slowly started getting faster and faster. I think it eventually like catapulted up into the air, but I can't remember. Yeah, you have to try that.
Amazing. The ones I've come across are basically I'll just be going at full tit across like a sand dune or something, and then it will just stop. It'll stop dead, like just going along, and it looks like the game is frozen up, and you're like, what the fuck? You're still holding down the accelerate button. Take your finger off accelerate. accelerate again, and you take off again. It's like it just stopped.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would find that so frustrating.
Do you think it's like an issue where it hasn't loaded yet? And so instead
maybe.
of hitting a screen where you actually get an indicator, maybe there's a little loading icon at the bottom or something, it just stops you assuming that your brain's going to take that extra amount of time to process. I've stopped. Is it frozen? No. Accelerate again, and by then it has actually loaded what's in front of you.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like the equivalent of Soma when it sort of just freezes up on when you're heading into a next area.
But where it hasn't actually frozen, it's just ceased all movement for a second so that it has that time to catch up while your brain is trying to process what's just happened on your end.
Right.
Kind of
At the end of the day,
they're trying to be a wee bit sneaky with it, if that's the case.
At the end of the day, I don't give a shit why it did it. It was awful, and fucking fix it. Anywho, so things like that, and also things like when you're on your main ship, there's 2 levels to it, and I talked about this on the stream as well. Well, actually, maybe I didn't. I might have talked about it pre-stream, just Skyping with Abe. But there's 2 levels to your main ship, and it's something small, but you have to climb a ladder to get from the top floor to the bottom floor.
It's supposed to be the future.
And it makes you go, you have to climb a fucking ladder. But anyway, that's not the point. Every time you take that ladder, you've got to go through like a 5 to 10 second animation of old mate climbing down the ladder and jumping off, and it's spinning, and you lose all kind of camera control and all those sorts of things. You can't pause it or get into any menus while he's climbing, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's just a pain in the fucking ass. Like, and if you want to run around and talk to everyone, which is like, what you do in Mass Effect, it just makes getting around your ship, so it's basically just, as far as that technical stuff goes, they just haven't polished. They needed another 6 months or something just to go through each mechanic and each animation and just polish the shit out of it. So that's all kind of disappointing. The worlds and things themselves are probably the good side of it, like the general idea of Andromeda, and that you're off establishing humanity in a new kind of outpost, which is really cool, and that sort of, it gives you a really nice kind of sense of new beginning and that kind of thing with this story. But the shitty thing about it is it quickly devolves from that and basically takes all of these things that they could have done, which could have been really cool, and just turn it into quite a cliche sort of sci-fi plot. There's not like, I won't talk about that too much because people still may want to play the game. So that you get set up with this awesome plot precursor, and you're like, I'm going to go out and find new things, and it's going to be great. And then it just kind of just falls back on its ass, and you just end up with this, I guess, nothing kind of story.
That's the biggest crime I think it sounds like it commits, is it sounds like it's a really boring game, really uninspired kind of. I like games that are either amazing or terrible, because at least they're interesting. This just sounds like it's so flat.
Can you identify what it is that makes the story feel meh? Like, is it the characters in the story, or is it the actual direction of the narrative itself?
Yeah, so it's kind of both. Like, the characters don't have a whole much to them, and they're very one-dimensional. So you kind of meet them, and then you get to know them really quickly. Like, they obviously have those kind of first couple dialogue trees that you go through with these characters, and then that's kind of it. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of, like, they haven't built out those characters, so they just kind of react in the same way that they always would to all situations, kind of thing. And there's nothing surprising about them. It's that and the story, I think. Yeah. So the characters don't lend themselves to you really caring about them, and the story isn't particularly amazing either. And it just, to give you like an overall kind of thing for the story, it just devolves into classic villain versus evil type story. That's it. It's like, kill the bad guy. There's no, that's it. Like,
I think. Does the villain have sort of shades of grey to him or her, or is it just sort of quite stark contrast? I am an evil person because I want to kill everyone.
That's it. There's no.
Is the villain the Halo dude from the stream? Just the dude with the weird Halo thing coming up the back of his head?
Yeah, that's the one.
He looked pretty bland. I think the thing for me that really stands out is, obviously, because it's a game, the primary people complaining are the internet, and I would also say the internet are the reason why the game is meh. I don't know if you guys remember, prior to its release, everyone was up in arms about the fact that BioWare were going to fuck up because BioWare don't know how to write a character that's diverse without cramming, we're making this character this way to specifically cover, tick off the diversity checklist. So instead of actually taking chances and making characters that you could like, they didn't, because they were afraid that, we made this really cool kick-ass black dude who's an amazing character that everyone loves, but we can't, because then the internet will say, well, all right, but why wasn't he also gay or transgender or whatever, and just throw that down them. So instead they decided to not take any chances at all and just make the blandest, greyest characters they could, which then in turn, it doesn't really matter how good your narrative is. I mean, you've said anyway the narrative's not great, but even if it was great, with a bland cast traveling through it, it's not going to be as good as it could have been anyway. So actually 100%, I mean, maybe it is just me standing up for it because I was so, I was anticipating this game a lot, and it does sadden me a lot that it's getting such bad scores, but I genuinely believe part of the reason it's so bad is just because of the internet, because of the social justice warriors all over the BioWare forums saying, you better fucking get your characters right or we're going to boycott you for eternity. So they decided that the way to get it right was just to not take any chances so that they didn't piss anyone off, because as it stands, no one is pissed off that the characters are bland. They're disappointed, but they're not angry at them, and I think that's all they wanted, to make sure they didn't make anyone angry.
It's a real shame when the political discourse comes in and actually has an effect on the game and the value of the game. It's not something that I'm really enjoying particularly. BioWare is known for what Dragon Age Inquisition had a transgender character or something like that, or some sort of prominent character, and when they shove that down your throat, that's just lazy writing, to be honest. That's just really, really lazy writing.
I think ultimately the main takeaway from this game is that the trailer for it was basically proactive damage control. I don't know if you guys saw the release trailer for it, aptly accompanied by the song, which I believe was sung by BioWare in the end, I'm only human after all, don't put the blame on me. So I'm pretty sure they specifically chose that song, not because, it fit maybe what humanity was doing in the game, but because they knew people weren't going to like it, and they just wanted to try and, push away some of that blame and say, hey, look, I made a mistake. I'm only human.
I'm only human.
Sung by the BioWare in-house choir.
Yeah. So,
that's a real shame, man. But
it is a little bit. I'm not even sure I'll finish it. But there you go.
I'm still going to try and pick it up for free on PC. Like, I'm owed some codes from some people, and I'm still pushing for it. I don't care. I don't care if it does get bad scores. I played the other 3. I stuck with it, even though people complained about the ending of 3. I wasn't one of those people who complained, because I always said the game was about the journey, not the destination. And the journey was still great. It doesn't matter if the last 3 minutes were, just plucked out of some children's colouring in book. It was, the game was about the journey and about building and forging those relationships and things, and it did it really well. So I still want to play Andromeda, no matter how bad the scores are, because I loved the original trilogy so much. I will always want to play Andromeda until I have actually first-hand experienced it.
Just the way you said you were owed some codes, Balthazar, it sounded like you were going around like a mafia racket with getting protection money.
Yeah.
You there? Where's my codes?
It is a bit like that, but, not so sinister.
Amazing.
All right. Well, any final thoughts on Mass Effect Andromeda from anyone?
I do want to say that it's not all bad. Like it's still a game.
I mean, 74 out of 100 is still a pretty damn good score. The 7 out of 10 has been a massive thing recently, because everyone's like, oh, I didn't get 8, oh, I didn't get 9. Like, if something gets a 7, that's considered shite.
Yeah, and it's not shite. It's playable. It's just not the polished experience people were after, and it was another one of those examples of kind of like an opportunity let go. But if you are a big Mass Effect fan, you might still really like it. So have a look at it. Have a look at some gameplay videos and things like that, and make up your own mind as to what you want. What you want to do with it. But yeah, I'm not probably going to be the world's biggest advocate, and that's all I'll say on that.
Alrighty. Well, speaking of another game that one of us is probably not going to finish. This is the last time I'll mention Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It's a good game. I've enjoyed my time with Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I would admit, I think I'm like 25%. I assume that's 100%. They're going from 100% completion rate sort of thing. About 25% through the game. I'm done with this game, guys. It was good while it lasted.
Mate,
but
you won't get the platinum for that one. I wouldn't get it. Oh my god.
You wouldn't get what are some of the stipulations for the platinum for that one?
It has multiplayer trophies, doesn't it? And no one will be playing the multiplayer anymore, so you won't even be able to get them.
Man.
I don't know. I just they're just terrible ones. Yeah, multiplayer ones where I played the multiplayer like 1 or 2 games and I was just like, no.
I got the multiplayer trophies.
Oh, did you?
When the game came out, I got them. They were really easy. I think because I played what was the one before that had, or the first one that had online? And I played the first one that had online.
Syndicate? No,
that's more recent.
Revelations?
I don't know. It might have been. It was. I borrowed it off a friend because he got was it Brotherhood, like the spin-offs of 2, the continuation of 2, and I only ever bought into the numbered ones when I still followed the series because I was like, man, the other ones, it's just getting excessive now. But I borrowed Revelations off a friend just to try out the multiplayer, and it's just one of those things. Every now and again, you don't necessarily need to be someone who enjoys or is good at multiplayer games, but every now and again, you pick one up and somehow you just win. I don't know if you guys have ever had that, but that was me with Revelations. I'd just pick it up and I was just top of the scoreboards every single round. I was like, I don't know what's happening. Apparently, my robotic nature means that people can't tell me apart from an NPC, which is the whole point of the multiplayer in that game, to disguise yourself as an NPC.
Yeah.
And I was perfect at it. No one could tell. Apparently, I just had NPC behavioural patterns down. So
you projected your plateau of emotion onto the actual character itself.
So I nailed it. And so I did. When 4 came out and I played it, I jumped into the multiplayer first, knowing that the multiplayer is not going to be around forever, so if I want the trophies, I've got to get them now. And I cleaned them all in the first afternoon of owning the game. I got all the multiplayer trophies.
Nice. What that game needed was a multiplayer where you're fighting in the pirate ships.
Does it not have that?
No, so it's kind of like you're walking around a marketplace, and you disguise yourself as just a bystander or what have you.
So it's like you pick one of the 5 characters or something, but every NPC is one of those 5 characters.
Right. So it's the precursor to that Watch Dogs multiplayer.
And you get like a target to assassinate, and it sort of points you in the general direction of the target. And so you got to run around and figure out which one of these is the actual person.
Sounds dumb.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you just stand still in a group of 4 other people that look exactly like you. Wait until the clock starts counting down the last 30 seconds, so all the people still in the game get panicked and start sprinting around, and then you just backstab everyone as they sprint past you, and then step back into your crowd again.
I kind of like that, the sound of that. I like the idea of hiding from people in plain sight. That's actually kind of appealing to me. But I'll never play the multiplayer. It's never going to happen. Well, I'm barely playing the single player, so we're dumping that, and I'm never going to speak about it again. But if I was reviewing it, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Black Flag, I've enjoyed my time with it. It's still got that clunky Assassin's Creed movement going on. It's still got glitches everywhere, but it's actually been a lot of fun, and I can't say that about the previous Assassin's games I've played in between. After 2, I would say.
I was big into Black Flag back in the day before I had a big hate boner for everything Ubisoft.
Did you say hate boner?
Yeah, pretty much. Just I refuse to get anything Ubisoft anymore.
No. What about, so you haven't played Stick of Truth and you won't play Fractured But Whole?
I did play Fractured But Whole briefly.
You played Stick of Truth, Fractured But Whole's
not sorry, the Stick of Truth, yeah. Sorry, coffee still hasn't kicked in. Black Flag, I was actually, they've got leaderboards in the game, so I think... I was for a brief period of time, I was top of the leaderboards in New Zealand.
Wow!
Man,
for Black Flag.
Claim to fame, Mike.
I don't.
It was for a week.
Screenshot
it. I might have, yeah.
Yeah, I
just remember I got a screenshot of the ship where there's a glitch where it would just I think the way the water worked, it was sort of attached to the base of the ship. So if there's a bit where you walk up to the ship and there would just be a big hole in the sea. And it's because the ship has spawned 20 meters down or so, and so you just got the mast sticking up out of this hole.
Amazing.
And then it slowly rises up out of the hole.
like Pirates of the Caribbean or something.
Yeah, that's
something like that. It was bizarre.
I think I managed to for one of my birthdays I got given the other one, the one in the
shotgun one.
Yeah, the other one that came after
Assassin's
Black Flag.
Creed shotgun.
Assassin's Creed, Welsh Welsh naval man.
I just remember the cover had a dude with a shot.
Rogue, I'm talking about Rogue, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
and,
played that one. Yeah.
I managed to get on the leaderboards for that as well, and then realised that something was going wrong with my life, and I stopped playing. The day that I got onto the leaderboard, I was like, nah, I'm done.
Well, I don't know. Ubisoft's had a bit of a resurgence with, I really enjoyed what I played of For Honor, although apparently that game is nearly unplayable due to network connectivity issues. And Regan really enjoyed Watch Dogs 2, so I haven't written them off. I wrote them off for a while because they just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. But I don't know. And I'm definitely in for Fractured But Whole, of course. Why wouldn't you be? But yeah, that's the last we'll speak of Black Flag. The other thing I've been playing, which now has a review up on the site, overcastgamer.com, and we also did a stream of it on the most recent After Dinner stream on Friday, is Snake Pass. Regan was there for the stream, and Mike was in the chat. Balthazar unfortunately couldn't make that one, but man, what a great game. Absolutely enjoyed the hell out of the stream. So much joy flowing from every orifice.
That is an awful image.
It's such a good game. It's perfect sort of pick up, have a massive grin on your face, get some collectibles, do it for an hour or so, come back to it the next day, do the same thing. You can do other things while you're playing if if the music gets a bit much, because that's one of my criticisms is there's not enough music for sure. I think there's one track per world. There's about 5 or 6 stages per world, so it does get a little bit repetitive. The music's great, but there needs to be more of it. A couple of camera issues here and there, but overall, man, like, what a great game that is. It's just so fun, so joyous. It really embodies the feeling of how difficult it would be to be a snake. You have to drag your whole bloody body around every, up vertical poles and things, and your body betrays you sometimes and pulls you down, and it's like, oh, God damn it. Never played anything like that before. Absolutely mind-blowingly good. Love it.
That's pretty cool. What like if you were to say, like, let's say, for example, you were trying to convince Balthazar that this was the game that he needed to play this year. Yeah. What would you say?
Oh man, that would be tricky, because most of my, this is a very personal, it feels like a very personal game to me. I know a lot of people, I've seen a lot of criticisms of it. People couldn't get on with the controls and all that sort of thing. Everything in this game just clicked for me. I think to appeal to someone like Balthazar, who is interested in game design and getting analytical and stuff, I would say play it just to experience the controls and see if they gel with your brain, kind of thing. Because I think some people do and some people don't. It's a really interesting movement scheme they've figured out here. Just see what you think of it, in terms of the physics and the control scheme.
Because it does seem quite interesting in that regard. Like, I mean, no one's ever made a game where you control a snake before, as far as I know.
What about Snake?
Aside from Snake, or maybe if you want to be a dickhead, Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, or there's Snake Rattle and Roll on the 3DO or something, like way back in the day. But yeah, not on this level where it sort of simulates the actual physics of the snake and stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. The game could definitely benefit from a frame bump to 60. I think you can choose to do 60 on the PS Pro. Oh, yeah. And also some higher res textures every now and then. But overall, what an awesome game. I had a great time with this game. So feel free to go and check out the review on overcastgamer.com. And that is everything I've been playing. Balthazar, what have you been up to?
I've been playing a lot of things, but not a lot to talk about, essentially. Same as always. Overwatch's been kicking around, not a lot to talk about. Still Breath of the Wild, a lot to talk about, but nothing really worth talking about because we have talked about it before. It's fantastic. What I will say, actually, that's changed since we last talked about it is I've now unlocked the percentage meter in the corner of the map screen that shows you the percentage of your completion rate.
You need to unlock that.
So essentially it's not there before a point where you've done enough completion for the game to deem you to care about your or worthy of knowing what your completion percentage is.
This is a big game then.
So I played for over 100 hours, and my completion is currently at 26.66%.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God.
And so, yeah, that does indicate I've spent a lot of time, considering there are people who, at 60 hours had like over 30% and stuff. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time pissing around not doing completion stuff, but that also just speaks to the strength of the game that I've been playing over 100 hours and only 26.66% of the game's stuff that's considered completion has actually stood out to me as something to do so far at this time, kind of thing. I've just been messing around the rest of it doing other stuff. So it's still got a lot to do there. Obviously, 74% of the game still ahead of me.
Have you been playing undocked or docked, Balthazar, mainly?
So both. And originally it was mainly docked just because I liked playing it as a console, but now it's probably about a 50-50 split. I do carry it around with me now, play it on the bus, play it at work. On the DL. Just, playing it all the time. And yeah, there are points where I'll get to something and then I'll save it for when I'm docked again, because some stuff I just want to experience, on the big TV and everything. So, for example, I made my way through Hyrule Castle in bed one evening and then saved when I got up to the door with Ganon behind it, because I was like, no, I want to fight Ganon on the TV.
Nice.
But yeah, so it is a 50-50 split, but still fucking loving it. I restarted Shadow of Mordor, chucked that back in the PlayStation, because obviously Shadow of War's August this year, so I wanted to kind of just jump back in and refamiliarize myself with that game. Enjoying it. It's hard to stick with it this time around. I'm trying to platinum it. Mike will be pleased to hear. I'm at like 70-something%. I got a lot of the trophies the first time through because I played it a lot. It's just some cleanup stuff. But I found out that I replaced my hard drive after playing Shadow of Mordor when I first did it, so I have had to start from the very beginning again with nothing. Which is a bit of a pain, but it's pretty good as well because I'd completely forgotten how to play the game, so I'm just refamiliarizing myself with the abilities as I unlock them, kind of thing.
Nice.
So I'll slowly make my way through that, but Zelda keeps, sidetracking me from it.
I am so fucking as you were talking then, I was checking my internet banking to see if I could justify walking to the store and buying a Nintendo Switch after this. Oh man.
Yeah.
Balthazar, have you seen anyone out in public who you didn't know playing their Switch?
Yes. So you guys may remember I told you, I think it's when we were coming in to record a podcast some other time maybe, and I said that I saw a dude who looked well chuffed with himself, who was leaving EB with that bag, and I could see through the bag and there was a Switch in it and Zelda in it. I saw that same dude the other day walking along the waterfront playing his Switch.
Nice.
And I was like, man, this dude, he's got it. He knows life. He's got it sorted.
Yeah.
I've seen a few people sitting around playing it, and also Kyle and his brother Aaron as well picked them up after both being like, why did you buy a Switch? It's only 900p when docked, blah, 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 blah. And then they're both like, oh, I caved. I bought one. Turns out, actually, I don't care as much about, technical stuff as I said I did. I care about fun, and it's fucking fun. So they all, they all bought one as well.
Yeah.
Nice. I can picture in my mind that that food court where JB Hi-Fi is in Wellington. Everyone's sitting at those tables by themselves playing their Switches for some reason. That seems like the perfect place for that to happen.
Yeah, it would be good for it. Yeah, and you're right outside JB as well, so you just step in there and buy an amiibo to scan in while you're playing.
with the Nintendo DS, because that's got like a Street Pass thing. Does the Switch have anything like that?
So not yet. The network features are currently kind of very minimal on the Switch at the moment. Nintendo have said kind of they are slowly going to be adding the features as it comes out, but at the moment stability was what on console launch they wanted the network features to be stable. So they only included kind of the store and the social functions of just having a friends list and seeing what they're playing and stuff like that, to make sure that that's all stable, because they, I guess, had no idea what the adoption rate would be of the Switch when it first came out and how much strain would be on the servers. And they're supposedly slowly going to be adding more. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Shovel Knight is bafflingly expensive on the eShop for some reason. I was like, oh, can I justify getting a Switch? I want Shovel Knight and I want Zelda. It's like $42 or something.
Whoa. Wow, yeah, it's interesting. I've seen prices come up because it seems that what they did, which was quite clever, suckered me into buying something, not Shovel Knight, Bomberman, but they, on the launch week, everything was really cheap on the eShop. Like the stuff that came out with it when it came out in the eShop within that first week, which I think was Shovel Knight, a few old fighting games, and Bomberman, they had them all really cheap. And I think it was just to try and, people were already in that frame of mind where they've just bought a Switch, they're already spending money, so let's get them to spend more. Now it seems to have kind of settled and things have bumped to, I guess, what their normal price is going to be. Which is interesting, seeing them all kind of go up a bit, but I don't know what's going to happen with it. We'll wait and see if they do sort of monthly sales or something like that. Discounts and things like the PS4 does. It's still early days.
Shovel Knight must have been on sale about a month ago or so, because I picked it up. I wouldn't have paid more than $20 for it.
Yeah. What did you pick it up on, Mike?
Oh, the 3DS.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Oh man, I wish I knew about that. I would have picked that up too.
The only other thing I've been playing, which is something I don't talk about much at the moment, because it's been talked to death over a year or so that we've been doing the podcast. But I feel like I want to mention it because it's the first time ever I reach kind of a conflict point with it, and that's Final Fantasy XIV. There's an expansion coming out at the end of June. And so essentially what that means now is that the devs are putting all their time and resources into developing the expansion, and they've pretty much said, I think it was last week or the week before, they released the final pre-expansion content patch. So I whipped through that content, and now I'm just kind of sitting there like, what do I do? Because I can grind gear that will in 3 months be completely redundant because the level cap will go up, so all the gear will be shed. I can... do all this other stuff. Basically, we're at a point now where nothing new is going to be added, and anything I achieve is going to be immediately redundant. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. Because the hardest thing about playing an MMO is leaving the MMO. Like, MMOs suck you in. When you're playing them, you keep playing. When people leave, they see what life is like without having to, grind their dailies and their weeklies and all that stuff, and it becomes harder to come back. Now, I've already left. I leave Final Fantasy XIV frequently. Like, I go for kind of 6-month breaks, let the content build up, and then come back. So my fear isn't for myself. I love this game, and I know I'll come back. My fear is for the population of the game, because if there's a 3-month content drought now and people start leaving, I don't know that they will come back when the expansion comes out, and that would make my experience with the expansion lessened because there will be less people to play with, longer wait times for things. I'm a bit concerned.
At the end of the day, like it is a huge MMO, and there is a massive player base out there. Like, I don't think a couple months of like a slight drought of end-game content is necessarily...
You would expect people to come back once the expansion comes out.
I think it's the fool me once, shame on, what is it? Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, because the exact same thing happened before Heavensward. There was a 3-month content drought, and I'm just wondering now if the mentality is going to change slightly to, okay, last time, you did it, and I was like, that's not great, but I came back. This time, you're doing it again? It tells me you haven't learned from last time, that you lost a whole load of subs, people lost interest, some people didn't return for Heavensward, they stayed out when they were out. So I'm wondering if less people are going to come back this time than did for Heavensward, because they're going to be like, well, fuck it, they just keep going for content. They seem to not be learning their lesson and learning that people will leave if they don't keep delivering. So I don't know, I'm concerned for the future of the game, but not hugely so, not enough to be like, so fuck it, I'm not playing it anymore. I'm still going to be logged in every fucking day. But I don't know, I'm a little wary.
Interesting. Oh, we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Other than that, though, I've been good the past fortnight. There's been a lot of sales going on lately around New Zealand for games, and I've not bought any. I feel like I've been well behaved, because normally I see a sale and I just buy shit. I just buy it. I'm like, why not? Why do I not have this? Why should I not have it? And then I just get it.
There is no reason I should not have
Exactly.
this.
Yeah. But no, I've been really good. I've been like, no, I'm going to be content with what I have, because what I have is fucking fantastic, and I don't have enough time to play everything that I already have, so I should absolutely not get more things. So, the only things I've bought over the past fortnight have been amiibos. Because I need those. Those are a necessity. You're with me there, Abe. You know what it's like.
Yeah,
I imagine you're still recovering.
I was going to say the only game that I bought that was on sale was SteamWorld Dig on my 3DS, because it was $3. I was like, wow, got to get that. I already have it on PS4, but man, what a great game to just have on 3DS.
Yeah, and that's an insane price as well for something
Nintendo.
Through a first party like Nintendo area, like the eShop kind of thing. Like, wow, what are they doing?
It was like $3.47 or something weird like that, the complete currency conversion. But yeah,
that's like the cost for Theme on 3DS.
Jeez.
Anyway, Mike, what have you been jamming, man?
Quite a few games since I last talked to you guys on the podcast, but I won't go back all the way. NieR Automata, sort of not most recently, but I really loved that game.
And this was the one that you've platinumed since. Oh no, you said no. Forget about it. Continue.
Just a really fun game. I probably won't talk about it too much, but great combat, great characters. Like some of the level design, like I found it didn't look so great. Like if you got to some areas, like it's copy and pasting the buildings all around the place. But then there are some areas where I'd show up in an area and I'd just be like, wow, like this is amazing. Like I did not expect to see this sort of thing. Just like
the area with all the white flowers, whatever they're called, the tiers or whatever.
I suppose that
area looked really cool. I didn't because I think I got to that really late. When I did go down, I was like, this is so different to everything else.
Yeah. There are just like a number of places like that where I'm just like, whoa, this is cool. Like some big, huge boss battles and like the way the whole story comes together in the end with like, not just with the machines you're fighting against, but with the characters as well. Like the end of the story really built towards like sort of like crescendoed with the characters and the enemies, and like just the whole game came together, and it was just like such an amazing way to finish the game. But yeah, absolutely love that game. It's got to be in one of my.
It's going to go on your top 10 list.
Yeah, it's probably on my top 10 list. But,
man. Well, Balthazar's pretty much convinced me to play that game just from his comments on the storytelling, because I'm not really interested in the gameplay that much. Hack and slashes don't really do much for me, but the storytelling sounds quite innovative, and I'm definitely intrigued by that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just so fresh. Like it's like with the risks they took in telling that game and the way they presented it, just made it seem like real fresh and original. Which I really loved, and it's really weird as well. We just like I know that the most immediate thing I think of is like your standard plebe enemy is this little like looks like a little wind-up toy, and they'll come at you like their eyes will flash red, and then he sort of like spins his arms around like you'd expect like a little kid to do, just go like to fling his arms in circles, and he like runs at you. It's like that's his like basic attack. It's like this really like simplified thing, but
is it the kind of thing where it starts with that sort of like low level, it's kind of kiddie playground type stuff, and you're just beating up these funny little wind up toys, and by the end of it you're fighting like big fucking like 30 armed animatronic like death spiders?
Yeah, like
that kind of thing?
You pretty aptly described one of the boss fights towards the end.
Really?
yeah, pretty much. But that's the thing is like when I started playing the game, I was kind of like I was trying to sort of judge like how serious is this game, like because there are some very lighthearted moments, but it gets really dark towards the end where you're just like, fuck, like what is going?
I can't apologize enough to Platinum for this game. Like when I first talked about NieR on the podcast, I said it's a highly enjoyable game, but unfortunately it came out around too many other good games. I think it's going to be forgotten, and I don't think it's going to be on anyone's top 10s for the year. It's going to be on my top 10 as it stands at the moment, easily. Like I was so wrong. Like I was still in the first act, and I was one of those people that was just blinded by the naivety of their presentation of the game. And upon actually experiencing the full game, it's phenomenal. It's easily up there with my, like, so far of the games I've played this year, it's number 2 without a doubt.
The closest comparison I've seen online, without going into spoilers because I don't really know much about it, is people have been comparing it to Metal Gear Solid 2, which I'm really intrigued by. That sort of meta fourth wall breaking type stuff is great if it's pulled off well.
I kind of see it on multiple layers. There's the fourth wall breaking stuff, and then there's also the fact that the game was, from a lot of angles prior to release, presented as being the story of one character and playing as one character, but actually they aren't in the spotlight. And it is something else.
I'd sort of argue that like 2B isn't the main character at all.
No.
Like,
even though she's present throughout the whole story, and even one of the biggest twists to the narrative is involving her and comes at the very end.
Yeah.
There's still the game itself. Yeah, I would say she's not the main character.
Yeah.
Well, we're having to censor ourselves quite a bit here, so we might have to do
Yeah.
like a full-on spoiler cast with you two just going at it.
Yeah,
I'd love to talk about this game properly without having to hide everything.
Yeah, same. Because like, there's so much that like that you can't talk about. Like most of the game, like you can't talk about because of spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like definitely, that's my game of the year so far.
Awesome.
Nice one.
then,
What else have you been playing there, Mike?
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nice.
Yes.
So I picked this up and just such an amazing looking game, eh?
It's very cool. Yeah, visually it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been playing it on the Pro as well, haven't you?
Yeah. So I started playing it on the PS4, and then I was like, one of my friends, Ern, got a PS4 Pro, and sort of put the idea in my head, and I was like, I've got a 4K TV, I've got this game which is going to look amazing, you know, why not? Like, so I just picked up a Pro, and it runs really well. I mean, it looks really awesome on the PS4 anyway. It's really well optimized for it. So I wouldn't say there's too much of a jump, because it still looks amazing on the normal one. Like this game, I think story is sort of front and center in this game. I just got really into it. It's got just an amazing sort of like history of the world and the way it's built, with all the different tribes and their cultures, and like you can get really immersed in the story.
Yeah. They've built a really cool world around it, and it's kind of the complete opposite to Mass Effect in a way. Like they've kind of nailed all of those things that you want to have nailed. The story and the characters, and the way the stories and characters bounce back and forth. It's pretty special stuff.
You can definitely see influences of like The Witcher 3 in there, which I'm really happy about, because just The Witcher 3 being such an amazing game, I was kind of hoping this would set the bar for future games. And I was kind of disappointed with Final Fantasy 15. Yeah, is that they still have
that shit fizzled out well quick, that game.
Yeah, I've got that game. It was like I really like things about 15, but there are like so many things I disliked about it as well. But anyway, the back to the machines. Like the enemies in Horizon are really well designed. Like so well designed. Like just with the whole way combat works is you have enemies will have weak spots that you have to hit with like certain types of arrows, like flaming arrows or sort of tearing arrows.
The combat's probably the best in any open world game I've played, I think.
But one thing I saw which was really amazing is have you seen those crab machines, the shell walkers? They've got the crate on the back, so they're carrying around this like basically a loot crate which is attached with a latch. And so you can shoot the latch off and it'll drop the crate. But this machine, like its whole thing is like transporting this crate. So after I broke its latch, I was still fighting it, and I actually walked over to the crate, picked it up in its like claw hand things, and slid it back onto its back, and was like holding it there with like one of its arms. I was like, that's amazing. Like they programmed this to like just protect its crate. Like, and it's
its whole world is that fucking crate that carries around on its back. I thought, you saw that as well. I noticed that as well, and was kind of at the time like quite impressed by it. But there's so much. The issue with Horizon for me is that there's so much to say about it. It's difficult to cram all of the positive things into into a succinct kind of review or whatever you want to call it. But that's a good point. Like the machines are so cool, man.
I mean, probably one of the lower points for me is like, because I was enjoying the story so much, is I just probably the way I was playing it really is I went out and explored everything before like continuing in the story properly. So like that was sort of a lull for me. I still enjoyed all the exploring, but and plus with it using, I'm sure it's been mentioned, is like a lot of mechanics taken from other games. So to me, it just felt like a really safe game, compared with the way NieR worked out. It was, they tried all these new things and it worked out really, like, it felt really fresh.
Worked out well, yeah.
So it's like Horizon, it's almost like Andromeda tried to have the same thesis as Horizon. it was going to play it safe and it was going to take things that wouldn't rock the boat, but that people would enjoy, but they picked the wrong things. Like Horizon made all the right choices and picked all the best things to put together so that they were still playing it safe and they were delivering something that they knew people would already respond well to, but they picked things that people would respond well to. Whereas Mass Effect Andromeda tried to do it and they tried to play it safe, but they picked all the wrong things to be safe with.
And Horizon just had the core of the game sorted, like the story and the characters. Great. Like Mass Effect would be cool if they had that stuff sorted as well. And you could forgive all the janky animations and things, but it's those things, the bedrock of the game that they haven't nailed. So
but Horizon, the characters as well, like really well put together characters. They've all got their own sort of motivations and stuff. And I personally found the talking to characters and their facial animations, and just like you'd notice little tiny things, like they'd squint and you'd see like tiny like wrinkles form under their eyes and that sort of thing. Like just really well done.
Yeah, really impressive. What else?
Nice. Well, we're probably going to have to cut you short there, Mike, I'm afraid, because we're unfortunately running long again. We don't seem to be able to abridge ourselves.
That's about me done anyway, so
that's cool, man. We'll rush through some news really quickly. A couple of news items, pretty big ones there. Destiny 2 has been announced, and a trailer. There was a teaser, then there was a trailer with Cade 6 sitting in the bar.
Cinematic teaser for a cinematic trailer. Just
what we all wanted. Bloody no glimpse of. Well, obviously you mentioned Balthazar. Gameplay's going to be the same, so I suppose there's no real point in having a gameplay trailer. But cinematic trailer is never that exciting, particularly. You're sort of the Destiny fan here. What did you think of it?
It kind of delivered what I guess people who already liked Destiny wanted in a way, which was some form of confirmation that narrative was actually going to be a focus this time around, that they were going to put characters and they were going to put a story into it, and the story wasn't going to be, explained through cards that you unlocked and then had to go externally to a website to read to get the story. Like, it looks like they're actually going to cinematically put the story in the game and have your actions centered around an event rather than, it's done best by effectively saying Destiny 1 was exploratory, not just so the game itself was exploratory because they tried to make a game that they said was going to last 10 years. So, they made it in a style that meant they could keep adding additional content into it without changing it or breaking it up or anything. Turned out the experiment went horribly wrong when they didn't deliver enough content up front or enough content with each additional pack that you had to pay for to justify it. But it was an exploration into a new type of shooter. And then the story itself was of exploration, which is why there was no story. You were just a guardian whose purpose effectively was exploring these different planets within the galaxy to assess the threat of these different alien races. So Destiny 1 on a whole can be pretty much summed up as an exploration. Whereas Destiny 2, it seems like they've advanced it where they've now focused. They know what they want to deliver. They know what people want them to deliver. They know how to deliver it. So this time, this game is war. They're reclaiming their name. They're reclaiming the, credit that Bungie should get. And they've decided to also approach the narrative from an angle of war. The people who you were exploring and assessing the threat of have decided that actually, hey, that's not cool. You're a bit of a threat. So they've attacked your home. And it's evolved into full-scale war kind of thing. So I think above all else, Destiny as a franchise is going to be just a really interesting one to follow pretty much always, just to see what they're doing with it. Because I think it's a really good idea that they had for the franchise, and so far it's not worked out for them. But I'm interested. I really want to see what they do with it and where it goes, and I do have hopes that it becomes successful because Bungie are good. Bungie are great. And I want them to, reclaim that greatness, and I'm hopeful that Destiny 2 will do that for them.
Oh, very cool. Well, that's got a release date, does it, Destiny 2?
Sometime in September. I think it's September 10th or something. Okay. It has been confirmed. There was a lot of stuff saying, no, it's still just rumor. It has now officially been confirmed it's coming to PC as well. So.
Okay, that's cool. Well, you got your unlocked frame rate there.
Yep.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Balthazar, you have updated your most anticipated game again.
Yeah, I keep doing it because they keep announcing new things. So it was originally Mass Effect Andromeda, and prior to Andromeda's release, it wasn't because it was, turned out to be garbage that I changed it. Before it came out, Shadow of War was announced, and I changed it to that, saying actually, hey, no, that's it. But now something else has been announced.
Is it a new Kingdom Hearts game?
It's not. And if it was, that wouldn't do it for me now. Kingdom Hearts 3's been pissing around for too long. Obviously, I'm still going to get it and I'll still love it, but it will never be my most anticipated game for the year it comes out because I will never truly believe it's coming out. It's StarCraft. StarCraft 1. Remade in 4K and upscaled and glorious modern technical feats. StarCraft 1 and Brood War in particular, the finest example of video game storytelling ever. And so just retelling that now, as long as they don't change it, they do just literally remake it but make it look like StarCraft 2 visually, it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for it. I'm so pumped. And it's got me replaying through StarCraft 2. I started up Wings of Liberty and then I'll jump straight into Heart of the Swarm and Legacy of the Void as well, playing through them. Mike, be proud again, playing through them on Brutal to get all of the achievements. Nice. So yeah, but man, yeah, StarCraft 1.
I'm excited for that as well, actually.
Yeah.
Have Blizzard ever remade one of their games?
Well, yes and no. Not separately. They've never remade a game and sort of remade it as an entire game. They rebuilt World of Warcraft, I believe, but they just kind of released that as a 50 gig update or whatever. If you're playing the game, you had to download this to keep playing, and it completely upscaled and retextured the entire game world and all the characters and everything. So they effectively remade the models for everything. But no, I don't believe they've remade one of their games completely from the ground up and required you to repurchase it before kind of thing, because it's that different from the initial release.
That's going to do gangbusters because they're still running off that goodwill. Well, they always have goodwill, but that Overwatch goodwill. So
yeah, that and what the content they've been adding to StarCraft 2 goes down really well as well. There's this mode in StarCraft 2 called it's just co-op mode, isn't it? I think. Have you played any co-op mode, Mike?
No.
So effectively what happens is you pick a commander who is a character from the storyline, so you can be like Alarak or Kerrigan or whoever, and you play co-op with one other person online, and you have objectives that you have to meet. So it's basically like playing through a separate story campaign from the perspective of that character. And there are like really random ones, like who's that dude, that like German dude who was like a hybrid, half Zerg, half human, and he was in the Heart of the Swarm campaign. Like there's him, he's one of the co-op commanders.
Oh, he was
so you can play
Russian,
his story.
Yeah,
and you can play his storyline and stuff. Like it's really weird. But they've been adding all this stuff, and StarCraft 2 has actually been constantly evolving as a game since it first came out. So even the people in that scene, like Blizzard, have generated a huge amount of goodwill, and people are, while StarCraft 2 compared to StarCraft 1, a lot of people weren't fans because the narrative was nowhere near as high quality, which it's one of those things where when you make a 10 out of 10 game, your next game is going to be critiqued extremely harshly because that's the mark it's held up to. That's the bar that it's compared against. And they did so well with StarCraft 1 that it was always going to be a mission to get people to accept StarCraft 2. And they unfortunately didn't quite nail it as a campaign game. They nailed the multiplayer aspect and people love that. But remaking StarCraft 1 is the logical step, to be honest. Because it's just, it's going to be so good.
And StarCraft was it has been for a long time the kind of go-to esports game. It was kind of esports.
Yeah, it pretty much put esports on the map as a thing.
I wonder if maybe they're looking to get Blizzard is looking to really get a foothold as far as esports go by bringing this back and saying you know what, get fucked, COD, basically.
Yeah.
And Counter-Strike and all those kind of things. Like people want to be playing our games on
I guess what I want to know is they're obviously going to bring the servers back online for this. Like it's going to be, it's a new game. They're going to have the servers. It's going to be multiplayer, and it's going to replace StarCraft 2. Like it almost certainly is, as the the competitive StarCraft game. So my question then becomes, do they introduce the units into this remake that they added for StarCraft 2, like the Colossi and stuff, that largely changed the scape of playing races like the Protoss? Because if they do, that would have an impact on unless they only added it to multiplayer, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, if they did add those new units, it would have to only be to multiplayer, because otherwise you would be changing the story. By adding these units that have story tie-ins to StarCraft 2 that should not yet exist in the StarCraft 1 universe, you'd be retconning stuff. So they would have to leave those units out. But then my fear would be, if they just left them out of the game completely, would this remake take off as the replacement to StarCraft 2 online without the added units that, the pro players have adapted to using? Or would they just split the community to the ones who just wanted to play the original, and then the ones who wanted to just play the multiplayer and maybe felt that these new units were a boon on the multiplayer? So again, I like with the FF14 stuff, when new stuff comes out for games that have online components, I get a little bit worried. No, it's going to do well regardless. It's going to do amazingly, and I'm pumped, and it's my most anticipated game this year. And that's not going to change. I honestly can't think of a single thing that... Maybe a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid 1. That's about the only thing that they could announce now that would replace StarCraft.
You really think Konami would do that?
Yeah, you'll get a remake pachinko machine.
And then I'd go on holiday to Japan again to play it. Okay.
Oh, very good. Well, we'll move on to the final section of the show, which, as we always do on the podcast, someone's top 10, one of the top 10 games of all time. This week, it's Regan. So, Regan, do you want to take it away, man?
Yeah, so next on my list that I haven't really written properly is Final Fantasy VII. And this is probably a pretty easy one, and probably on a lot of people's top 10.
It's on mine.
Yeah.
A lot of suckers.
It's on a lot of suckers. It's on Mike's. So Mike, join me in this celebration of Final Fantasy VII. And what to say about this game? For me, this game really defined my early gaming history, and it was the first game that I completed. It was I think I'd played Spyro at the same sort of time. Spyro might even... We've talked about Spyro to death as well.
Always Spyro.
Always Spyro, man. All day, every day. But, so I played this game maybe a year or so after it came out, thinking about my gaming timeline kind of thing. And myself and a friend of mine's basically kind of made this our social activity. So after schools, even at lunchtime sometimes, his house was not far from the primary school that we went to. We would escape from the school at lunchtime to go home and smash an hour of Final Fantasy VII.
Wow.
And yeah, just it's tied up with the experience of really enjoying the game in that sort of social real world sense, and also the game itself has so many layers, and the characters are great, the story is great. Give me your thoughts, Mike.
I don't know, but sort of similar. It's a game I played with my brothers. I think my older brother got it for maybe my 13th or 12th birthday. And we just had it's when we're still kind of new to games, and we just got this amazing experience that we just spent so much time with, playing through the story, figuring things out, and just it was just.
I think the thing about it for me is that the story, the first time I played through the story, I didn't get it.
Yeah, it took multiple playthroughs of the story for me
to really grasp it. There's a lot going on in the story, but then I think the things that I really enjoyed were, I suppose, what is now the precursor to sort of the side quest, things like getting the black chocobo and getting all the master materia. And
did you beat Ultima Weapon and Omega?
Yeah, did all the weapons. We basically 100%ed that game.
That's awesome.
This
was back in the day, before internet guides. You'd have to get a magazine and read. Oh, this is what you need to do to beat Ruby Weapon.
Here's a few various ways you could do it. Or here's how you can beat Diamond Weapon, and they would give you kind of materia hacks, and how you'd be okay, cool. So you take your Knights of the Round summon, and you attach that to the four spell times materia, and you do that, and then do that twice, and then you follow that up with these certain kind of things. It was there was just so many kind of late game things that you could really enjoy with that game as well. and ticking off all those kind of things. And I guess it sparked so many. I guess it's sort of at the core of a lot of people's gaming history, and that everyone knows, Cloud Strife. They know the big fucking Buster Sword. It's
pretty iconic.
Yeah, it's just that's it. It's iconic, and not on the way that Aiden Pierce's baseball cap is iconic. It's genuinely iconic.
Did you guys both have a memory card when playing this game, or did you just leave your PlayStation on?
Yeah, with memory card.
Who did that? Is that what you used to do, Abe? Did you have to just leave your PlayStation on?
I've done it when I stayed over at friends' houses who didn't have memory cards before.
Wow.
Not Final Fantasy, thank God.
Who
Like an
didn't
hour.
have a
That's a
memory
fire
card?
hazard.
I'm pretty sure they came with your PlayStation.
Yeah.
Didn't you get one with your PlayStation?
No, I don't think they did, man, because they make a mint off memory cards. They cost like 2 cents to manufacture, and they used to sell them for like $30.
Yeah.
Oh man, see this goes back to my pre-New Zealand era. I get them for about £8 in the UK.
Oh man,
so,
that's daylight robbery over here. I remember they were at least about $30.
Yeah, big time.
Brutal.
Yeah, but it's I can't imagine leaving a PlayStation 1 on for like 200 hours.
100 hours.
Oh man.
Then again, back then hardware was more reliable. You'd do it and you'd know that it wouldn't crash or it wouldn't freeze or it'd just work.
Maybe,
It'd work.
I actually do have a story about Final Fantasy and memory cards. We had like one at the top of our save. You have in the old you'd get slot 1, slot 2, slot 3.
Yeah.
And our main game was slot 1, which is probably what we did wrong. And we ended up I think we were maybe we were like 2/3 of the way through the game, like nearly up to disc 3, and it got saved over, and it was me. I was the numpty that saved over it. And I remember it vividly in my mind, like a couple of my mates who I was playing through, they went to like the dairy or something to get lollies, or whatever. Insert like junk food here.
Yeah.
And I was playing away, and then I did it. I somehow I saved over that game, and they came back and they were like, "Oh, how you going?" And I was like, "Got something to tell you guys." And they're like, "What's happened?" Yeah, so
oh no,
I just saved over our game. We've lost like 80 hours of gameplay.
Oh,
it was dark times.
Those are the days.
Yeah.
Speaking of memory cards, that actually brings a thing that I didn't realize I missed until I just remembered it now. Do you guys remember on PS1 and PS2 they used to have those cool little animated icons for each game to represent a save file? Man, those are great. You don't get those anymore.
No,
you don't have to look at a memory card.
No. Yeah, good old memory cards. Yeah, good times.
At least if you deleted it that far on though, and you're replaying it, there's a good chance that you got to rewatch Cloud and Barrett cross-dressing.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, old Don Cornelio or whatever his name was. And
I'm interested to see if that scene makes it into the remake. Eh?
Yeah.
Oh, it has to. It has to.
It would need to. They will do it. They will do it. They'll just do it in a different kind of way. I wonder. Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what they do with the music in that game.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the remake's going to pan out. How are they going to?
I think the thing about Final Fantasy VII as well that really helps its case as being probably one of the most influential games in terms of its connotations with gamers and bringing so many people on board is that for Western audiences, Final Fantasy VII put Japan on the map as a game developer.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, there would have been games prior to it, like potentially Resident Evil 1 was before Final Fantasy VII.
Super Mario,
and so it was kind of, there were releases, but Final Fantasy VII was definitely one that's synonymous with Japan. As far as kind of early, PS1 era video games and things go. JRPGs and things. And so I thank Final Fantasy VII. I mean, I didn't chime in the conversation because it's not on my top 10 list personally, but it is one of the early era games that I'm the most grateful for because it, opened up Western audiences to being appreciative of JRPGs. And most of my favorite games I play these days are JRPGs. And Final Fantasy VII is to thank for all of those coming out over here. So I have a great appreciation for that game, and it did a lot. So
yeah, no, there we go. Final Fantasy VII, we salute you. I mean, it's so old, like we can't. I mean, what are we going to say? It's awesome. The story, so many layers. The characters are great. They even kill off main characters. Cloud's like a whiny bitch.
Dick, right? Like he takes.
He's not as whiny as like Squall or.
He's
Tidus.
worse than Squall though, because at least Squall didn't lie about who he was as a person. Cloud took over Zack's entire life and pretended he was Zack, and he only knew him for 10 minutes before he died. He met the dude 10 minutes before he died, and then he's like, well, your life is better than mine. I'm going to pull your clothes off your cold, dead corpse. But he didn't even wait for it to go cold. Took his clothes off, took his sword that had no meaning to him.
Zack gave him those clothes. Just
didn't give him the sword. Took the fucking bus. That iconic sword doesn't even belong to Cloud. Fuck off, Cloud.
Yeah.
All right, well, we better wrap it up. That's probably all that needs to be said about Final Fantasy VII there. But as per usual, thank you everyone for listening. We can be found on overcastgamer.com, the main website there, youtube.com/overcastgamer. We're on Twitter, on Facebook, and we stream every Friday from 8 to 10 at the moment. Not sure what this Friday stream is going to be. We've been trying to do new releases at the moment. If anyone has any ideas, chime in, and we'll see if what we can wrangle up there. But yeah, feel free to check us out on any of those places, and we will be back again in a fortnight. So thank you for listening, and ka kite anō.
Ka kite, everyone.
Cheers, guys.